Today, there was a big matchup between Germany and Spain. Winner of that will move on to the Final Four. And the result in this one, 6-0. 0 for Spain. Germany's 12-game unbeaten streak dating back to 2019 comes to a crashing end. Ollie, how shocking is this result?
It's a huge shock. It's a momentous result. It's one that, I think back to Brazil 1, Germany 7. I think to Bayern Munich beating Barcelona 4-0 and putting that Pep Guardiola era to an end. I appreciate that that was a World Cup and a Champions League semi-final, and the UEFA Nations League isn't as big a stage, but just in terms of the golfing quality between the two teams, it felt like a match like that. Even at 3-0, before the score really got out of hand, Spain were more incisive, they were more organized, their pressing was so far superior to what Germany were offering. And it was just like watching two teams playing different sports. Obviously, this is going to cause just a massive inquest in Germany in terms of how this happened, whether Joachim Low should continue at this point. And a big question in particular is the absence of players like Thomas Müller and Jerome Boateng, who have been pushed aside after the last World Cup. It's hard to fathom at this point how you have key players on the best team in the world who cannot be part of the national team, seemingly just because the coach wants to change the guard and move on to the next generation. I think that's going to be a massive talking point. And Joachim Low is hard to defend after a result like that.
No Mats Hummels either. The statistics jump off the page. 22 shots to 2 on the night. Spain making and completing more than double the amount of passes that Germany completed. It was a complete embarrassment to German football, and this is something that a proud nation simply doesn't take lightly. This is the worst loss in the 89-year history of the German Football Federation. It's a ridiculous result. It's one where heads will rightfully roll, and one that's completely unacceptable. Like, forget Spain moving on to the Nations League final, Andy. It's just this scoreline just jumps off the page, and there will be ramifications.
Well, that's exactly what it is. It's the score line. And as we're, ought to do in sport, is we like to point fingers when something like this happens. So for you, Gareth, who are you looking at to say this is unacceptable and this is where a change needs to happen?
Timing is a funny thing. And last week, Oliver Bierhoff, the director of the German Football Association, came out and hit out against the media, saying everyone was too negative, that fans that have been on the German national team for performances that have been less than up to par, that they've been dramatically overreacting to the situation of affairs within German football. Well, clearly there's a problem there. And when Bierhoff speaks, people listen, but now the egg's on his face. What does he do? Because Love has been around for 14 years. He's a world champion. He's won a Confederations Cup as well. But it seemed like after the failures of getting out of their group at the 2018 World Cup, that might spell the end of Love as head coach of Germany. Apparently losses to Mexico and South Korea weren't enough, and they carried on. And look, there's a little bit of a transition from a younger generation that won the under-19s in 2017 from the older generation that won. I understand that, but there's a clear lack of leadership in this group. Players like Müller, Hummels, Boateng are absolutely on form. It's absolutely narrow-minded to keep them out of the team. You look at the group that played tonight, problems at fullback. Ginter and Max, who's making his debut as a 27-year-old, it was just so poor. Toni Kroos, Ilkay Gundogan, I don't even know what he's doing in the team. I don't get him for club and country. Look, for all the attacking talent that Germany has, the team simply isn't good enough, but they're better than they performed tonight. The lethargic effort, giving up, to me, Low has to go. It should be the end of the Joachim Low era with Germany and their national team.
Let's give credit to the team. Oh, do you have something on that?
Sorry to jump in, Andy. What I will say is I agree with what Wheels is saying, but the German FA can be stubborn on this kind of stuff. I think back, obviously, I remember very fondly England 5, Germany 1 in 2001. They kept Rudi Völler after that game, and they ended up in the World Cup final the following summer. So I wouldn't put it past them to stick with Joachim Low, but it does seem hard to imagine how he can come back from this.
Just to say, Andy, back in 2002 at that World Cup where they didn't go all the way to the final, they really struggled their way to the final. They should have been knocked out to the U.S. men's national team. And this is a different context here. Club football reigns supreme. Bundesliga wields a whole lot of power. And when you keep out big names, maybe going up against the will of the sentiment of the clubs and the fans in Germany, you're simply asking for it. I think that time is up for Low.
I'm watching any of their hands. No, no, no. Okay, then me next. So let's give credit to the team that pulled off this, incredible victory here. Not just a win, but it's a 6-0 victory. In Spain, they were a dynasty in those early moving into the mid-2000s, right? 2008 Euro, 2010 World Cup, 2012 Euro champs, and then 2014 World Cup. They go out in the group stage. So to even have these wins, Oliver, to even now book their ticket in the Final Four in Nations League, what does it even mean for a team like Spain to get this kind of result against a strong team like Germany?
Yeah, it's a massive result for them, and I want to give a lot of credit to Luis Enrique, who I think is a massively underrated coach. He won the treble with Barcelona, but no one really wanted to talk about it because Pep Guardiola had done it before, and it was all Messi and Neymar and so on and so forth. He left this job briefly last year because tragically his 9-year-old daughter passed away from cancer. And to have come back in the way he has and take the job back on and to be getting results like these and actually turning in performances like these. Again, there was such a big gulf between the two teams. I think he's done an absolutely remarkable job over the past year. And all of a sudden, Spain again, seemingly rebuilding, look like real contenders going into the Euros next summer.
And they've been a work in progress, but I'm just amazed. Like, this isn't a vintage Spanish side, like you said, Andy. Like, no Xavi, no Iniesta, no Villa. It's a different group of players, and what they've done is now they've mastered that high pressing game that's prevalent in today's football. No longer is the tiki-taka. They don't have the technically sound players that they had before, but they've evolved their game. They won the under-19 Euros in 2019. This is a team on the rise, and some of those young players have come through. Ferran Torres went to Manchester City for £27 million. That is an absolute steal. What a wonderful player, and what a wonderful hat trick today. They are a team on the rise, and they will be a team to reckon with at next summer's Euros.